We're about to interview Ron Paul for therealnewsradio.com.
Hey, it's going. You calling?
Yes, I'm
President, sir.
Yeah, I know you're out. I'm sure you want to take a flight.
Yes.
So,
Thank you.
feel free to make sure. This is Colin. He's on his way to,
Now, I probably won't address these. We can probably start off with questions. I think everybody knows why I'm here. See if we have any friends. We have a few friends here.
Yeah.
I talked to some supporters on the way in. They were not campaign officials or anybody. I wanted to ask a scenario in which it's the convention and Senator McCain, as this person put it, falls apart, and then you would then be able to rise and come forward and accept the nomination. Is that something that you put thought into as a possibility?
No, and I think that's pretty remote. I mean, he does have that particular number of delegates that he needs, and I don't think there's anything automatic. If he did have a problem, I don't think it would automatically mean that I'm going to inherit all that support. But the question that usually follows up from that is, then why bother? And it's due to the momentum of the volunteers and supporters and the money that comes in and the money that's in the bank and the determination of the whole campaign to pursue and to make sure that we have an influence the best we can at the convention, in the party. And there's so many who have gotten involved and started running for office and they're getting involved in the Republican Party, and they don't want to see that momentum to back off, and that's why they urge them to stay in.
You know what your fund is now?
How much money?
Yeah.
No, I usually get it from the newspaper. I don't call up and ask the staff. But it's several $1 million. Everybody knows that in campaigning, I've never had and never expect to have debt. And I noticed some of the other candidates, of those 11 that started, I think a bunch of them, have debt. And even a guy like Giuliano's paying off debt. It's ironic, but no, I have money in the bank, and we're able to pay all our bills, and that's one of the things that encourages us.
You've obviously ignited a huge movement across the country. What's your advice to your supporters after the November election? Where do we go from here?
Well, I think the goal is, to move our country in the direction of emphasizing liberty over government controls of our life, controls of the economy, and policing the world. So it's in many ways it's been coined a revolution. Of course, that's been associated with the book, the name of the book that just written. But it isn't a true revolution in the sense that it's brand new stuff. It's really just returning to the original intent of our revolution and to our Constitution. So in a way, it's sad that it's revolutionary to get people to study and learn and participate and practice believing in promoting the Constitution. Because I've been convinced over the years that that's what made the country great, and we've forgotten about it. We were Republicans or Democrats. We have drifted away, and the Constitution gets very little respect from Washington. I think our campaign, if nothing else, we're associated with an interpretation of the Constitution, which means that we follow it and we don't ignore the Constitution. But the job of the volunteers is to continue to do what they're doing, and it's on their own. They'll continue their own organizations, getting involved, running for office, supporting candidates, and studying. A lot of people said, "What have I never heard of this issue of monetary policy?" And since this campaign, I've been reading about this, and this really is fascinating. I didn't realize how important it was. A lot of studying is probably the most important thing that people do prior to action. Because if you have action without study and knowing what we believe in, then you're not being a politician, because you say, "Oh, what do I do to become a congressman?" And that's not the way we operate. First, we find out what we believe in. If it leads to being a congressman or a representative, that's good.
We had Judge Napolitano on as a guest last week on The Real News, and he advocates, as I know you do, repealing the Patriot Act, the Military Commission Act. Is that something that you think we would ever see go through Congress, or do you think that we would just see more legislation like that coming down?
nothing changes. You're going to see a lot more legislation. And the atmosphere is bad because there's so much disrespect for following the law. Because our president, over the years, have learned to use the executive orders to do what they please, or a signing statement on a bill. And, even if today we curtail some of those abuses, it doesn't reassure me that, all of a sudden, it's in the law now that you're not supposed to torture people. Now, it's all double talk. Think about it. There's a restraint on torture. Well, there really isn't. They've allowed it to be put in the bill. At the same time, they said it was restraint on torture. They said the president can make a decision on what is torture and whether or not we're violating the Geneva Conference. So that's why we get a person like Senator McCain says, I'm against torture, and it says in the bill, the Military Commission Act, that we're not allowed to torture. We're supposed to follow the Geneva Convention, but in the same bill, it says the president can make the decision. So that's the type of thing that goes on. So it really needs a strong attitude by the people and a strong understanding that we're tired of that. We need to send a whole new group of people, whether they're in the courts or whether they're in Congress or whether they're in the presidency, that has an understanding of this and will really obey the law of the land.
Healthcare. What would you do about rising costs of healthcare, large percentage of private insurance overhead? Is there a fix for that that would involve the government?
There's a fix for it, of course. That is to change the laws that created the monster. And the laws that caused us so much trouble were written in the early 1970s. That was the change of the tax code and the ERISA laws. It said that tax deductions would go to big corporations that would work for them. And then some of these programs, managed care, was mandated. You had to have HMOs and PPOs. And by law, and then it came in, the government started regulating them, and now we have this mess. So it's not, it wasn't created by the marketplace. And what we need to do is move away from that and allow individuals to get control of their spending, which means that we should allow total tax deduction by the individuals for all their medical care. That way they should be able to pay the bills, and with money that is untaxed, the medical savings account approach, at the same time, they should have major medical coverage, which would be true insurance. But today, it's really not insurance when it pays everything. They call it insurance. And unfortunately, what we have in Washington is a choice between fascist type of medicine or socialist type of medicine. Nobody offers a market-based medical care system. But the cost, most people say, well, it's not available. Medical care isn't available to me. It's I can't afford it. They can't afford it because the inflation, the cost of the increased costs have gone up more rapidly in medicine than in other things. And it is true, they can't afford it. But increasing costs in an inflationary period can't be solved by more government involvement or government passing out checks or the government running medical care. Because what happens then is there's it involves mandates and then price control and then shortages, and that's what we're moving into. But the higher costs are due to the value of the dollar going down. The value of the dollar goes down because we spend too much money and we print the money to make up the shortfall. So in the inflation, the prices go up in certain areas more than others. It goes